Hi everyone, welcome back to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. My own name is Amy. I'm substituting in for Cian today, and I'm joined by Marc and Reece. How are you today, lads?
Good, thank you. Very much looking forward to tomorrow. It's nice to go the whole weekend without being unhappy yet, if that's what happens. But yeah, I'm all right, thank you, mate. Thank you.
And I'm the same as well. I'm good, thanks. Also looking forward to tomorrow. Be peaceful weekend. City sort of around it, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
She's gone.
It's just you and me now.
It's just you and me. Right. What are the topics? Let's do this.
Let's see. So we've got, in terms of topics, so it's thoughts on the game yesterday.
Go on then, mate. You first.
It was quite the game I sort of expected.
I had
She's returned.
issues with the stream.
That's all right. That's all right.
So we're going to.
Right, on you go. On you go.
We're going to go back and we're going to talk about the game that we played against Milan on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we won.
Yes, we did.
We did win. We did.
What was your thoughts on it, dude? I'll let you go first.
Well, obviously, first half, I hope we don't have to repeat ourselves too much, but first half, we were pretty poor. I think it's probably shown over the last few weeks that we have missed Pogba. He did make a massive impact, obviously, in the second half. Everyone looked a little bit livelier. Everyone just seemed to sort of step it up again, really, didn't they? And I thought Fred, in the first half, he was pretty poor, but was actually pretty good in the second half. And it was what we needed in the end. Obviously, he got the goal. As I said the other week that I felt that Ollie would turn it around. And I mean, without Pogba, probably wouldn't have. But we got through ultimately, and that's what counts. So yeah, really pleased. I said the other week that it's a pivotal part. I think. We had that game on Wednesday. We got the game against Leicester tomorrow, and it's either make or break. I think so. We've sort of one foot in the door. Hopefully, we'll get a win tomorrow, and then we can resume the Premier League again. But yeah, on the whole, very happy about that.
Yeah, I agree. I was in the same inkling. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be an easy game. I think there was a lot of people on social media that were expecting this to be an easy game. Well, I don't know what game you were watching, or I don't know what first leg you were watching, but it certainly wasn't easy. There's a reason Milan are in the top two in their own division. Like, they're a good side. You've also got, like, United are coming into form when they need to. It's a complicated game. We've also had games where we've had to work our asses off, like West Ham as well. So I was expecting a little bit of a tough performance, which in the end it was. It was a knit and grit. I agree. I thought Fred was not good in that first half at all. Frankly, to quote nicely, I thought he was diabolical. But in the second half, he was a lot better. I thought sadly, the enforced change, we had no other choice. But it was a forced change that paid off in the end because we scored, 3 minutes into the second half? So it sort of says it all really about where it came off. We held in there. Clean sheet against one of the best teams, not only in Italian football, but in world football. So we'll see where it goes from there. To be honest, I'm thoroughly pleased we got through and we got a capable draw for a change that's relaxing, to say the least.
Apologies, I was having technical issues, but I have it fixed. Yeah, my thoughts on the game then, obviously, the first half was quite boring. Obviously, we kind of dominated and we had a lot of possession in the first 15-20 minutes, but we let AC Milan back into the game. And obviously, then second half, once Pogba came on, it just changed like that. His impact in the game just changed everything. So, delighted for the win. Obviously, for myself, I was one of the Pogba doubters, and I'm so glad that he's proven me wrong. So that's obviously great. And obviously, we drew with Granada then for the next round. How are you feeling about that?
Go on, Reece, you go first, buddy.
Well, I'm an avid watcher of Spanish football, and Granada are actually an interesting team, especially the way they play football. They're composed, good in the ball, slightly underrated side. I think what is good about it is like obviously you look at other teams who are also in the last stages of the tournament. Yes, it's Marc. He is a handsome chap. That's the only time I'm ever going to say that to his face. Just
I'll
kidding,
give
Marc.
you that 10 later, Reece. Cheers, mate.
I'm his favourite, all right. But you go back to that about Granada. They had a very interesting tie. I mean, they knocked out Napoli in the previous round. And not many people would have said, are Granada going to beat Napoli, considering the quality Napoli have got, like Insigne, Mertens, but they did. So it's a good draw. It's a draw we needed because we've had Real Sociedad and we've had AC Milan. So we've had two difficult draws. I think for Man United to have just a little bit of a relaxed draw compared to what could have been is a good start because we could have had Roma, we could have had Ajax early, but we won't get them till the semi-finals. So if anything, I'm just glad that it's just going to be a fun draw. It's not one you should be expecting, we're going to get totally smashed or we have to rely on these players to get us through. It's literally just, this is what hard-working performance is going to be about, I think. So that's what I go back to. It'll be a calm draw and it'll be a hard-working performance to get us through. It's not going to be the odd goal, I don't think. I think we'll go through 2 or 3 now in aggregate, to be honest.
I hope you're right. I think, history tells us that our record against Spanish teams isn't always the best. And that does obviously concern me a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't concern the players, but you have to take those things into account. But I think, it was a relatively favourable draw. And I don't know enough about Granada. Obviously, I can only take what you tell me, Reece. And I don't think it's going to be an easy tie. As you said, we had Milan, we had Sociedad, and they were two difficult opponents, but we managed to get through. So that's good. I just hope that we can go with that sort of same intention. And yeah, as you say, we really need to start getting some goals, and perhaps this could be a team that we might get 2 or 3. And I really hope you're right with that aggregate score.
To add it up to that as well, the reason I'm saying I think it could be a 2 or 3-0 aggregate score is where the location is for the first game. It's being played in Spain, so I'm kind of glad that that's what I wanted against Milan. Is I wanted the away leg first. I actually predicted it would be a 1-0 win against Milan. Like I thought it would be that tight. So I'm hoping that I get bounced on the bounce. I've had West Ham bang on as well, so I'm hoping hopefully tomorrow is correct as well. But yeah, I think the fact that the first leg is going to be played in Spain is a massive boost because we are much better away from home than we are at home itself. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I mean, I was shitting myself when I seen 2 Amy's. I was like, Jesus Christ.
No idea. But I think as well, I think we are kind of due the easier draw this time, considering we've actually had hard enough draws in every cup that we've been in so far. Like we had Real Sociedad, we had obviously 2 really tough teams in Champions League as well. We're after drawing Liverpool, Leicester in the FA Cup. So I think we were kind of due an easier round this time now. Obviously, if we were to progress to the semi-final, it's not so tough. But look, we'll move on anyway, and we'll see what happens against Granada. But I wouldn't, considering United can be very inconsistent at the minute, I wouldn't completely rule out Granada. I wouldn't. I predict United to actually go out and actually start on the front foot and actually just get the game over and done with. There's no point them going in and be like, oh, this is going to be an easy game, because we know how inconsistent United can be at the minute.
Yeah.
Just to quickly mention, sorry to interrupt. You mentioned, Reece, about playing away first. Now,
yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong. I think obviously that was always a favourable for Ferguson. He always wanted to play away first, really go out there. And obviously with our away form at the moment, I think that is preferable. Obviously, hopefully we can get a couple of goals. And if you get a couple of away goals, then it really puts you in the driving seat. So so I think you're absolutely right there. I think it's good that we're playing at their ground first.
Yeah, I think if we do, what I want us to do is I want us to go out and get those crucial away goals. Like if we get at least, same as Villarreal said, if we get 3 or 4, I'd be happy. And then in the second leg, because like the games are coming so fucking fast. Like we've got Granada, then we've got Brighton, then we've got Granada again, we've got Spurs. So I'm hoping that if we get these early goals against Granada, it means we can rest up some players for Brighton. We can rest up in the second leg. I want us to go full strength in the first leg, and I want us to go not so full like mixed strength in the second leg, because I want us to be full strength for Tottenham. No disrespect to Granada on the second leg, obviously, but
yeah, and I think especially against Spurs, we have a point to prove considering what happened last October. So hopefully with Spurs' downfall at the minute, and we will be able to dominate them. Obviously we're going to move on, and obviously Pogba made such an impact in the second half against Milan. Now, I'm one that's been very critical of Pogba, not because of his playing ability. We all know what he's capable of. But in the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's kind of been with this attitude where he doesn't really look like he wants to be there. He's only having 1 or 2 really good games a season. And obviously then all the circus around his agent and all that spiking up, and the media getting involved then on top of that as well. What are you making of Pogba at the minute? Are you open to letting him leave, or would you 100% want him to stay and sign a new contract? Mark, yourself?
I think I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I've been very critical of him over the past few seasons. And the only time I really get angry is when obviously that circus, as you said, his agent gets involved. You don't want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. United don't want to hear that. And I'm sure to a certain degree, he probably doesn't want to hear that because it doesn't make his life easy. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the best of Paul Pogba in the last 4 years. And he's obviously come very good. I think he means a huge amount to the team, and I think that showed against AC. And I really hope he doesn't leave. I think if I'm brutally honest, I honestly feel that probably Ollie's had a conversation. I feel that with the current climate and the pandemic and clubs not being able to afford him, I would really struggle to see him actually leave, to be honest. Which I think it could play into our hands very well, and I really hope that's the case. I think that finally we've been able to see. I mean, to be honest with you, Paul Pogba, his numbers at United are actually better than what they were at Juve. Now, a lot of the people that would tell you that he was absolutely amazing at Juve, are probably people that don't really watch the Italian league, and obviously he played further forward. Now, if you remember the other day when he came on, he played further forward on the left-hand side. And that's where he becomes this flair player that he's able to score goals. He's able to be more creative. He's able to, do lots of flicks and exciting things. And we've seen the best out of Paul Pogba this season when he has been playing further forward, right? So maybe now it has become, we have got to the time where we know where his best position is, where Ollie knows where his best position is, and we can accommodate him while still including Bruno and 1 or 2 other midfielders. And as I said, I think this summer we'll probably see a lot more trades. I think transfer budgets are going to be a lot lower. And I think that teams are going to be looking to obviously offload and look at who else are offloading, perhaps trade. So unless Pogba gets traded or PSG come in for him, I really struggle to see. And as I said, it might play into our hands. I don't know if he will leave.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there in that sense. And I think for Paul Pogba, for as a big of a name as he is, he's known as a world-class player. He's going to want to be around world-class players. He's going to want to be winning trophies. So to be honest with you, I wouldn't blame him if he did want to move on. He'd want to move on somewhere that he'll win trophies. I think that's going to be the same for any player. I think over the next 3 or 4 years, if United don't win any trophies, Bruno is going to eventually want to move on as well. So I think if United were to progress, obviously we need to fill the gap. So we need to sign centre back, defensive midfielder, right wingers. Actually, we need wingers, full stop. So I think if we were to sign a solid defensive midfielder and cut out the 2 defensive midfielders, that'll give Pogba that free role in the midfield, and I think that'll be the perfect midfield. Then, Reece, what are you making of Pogba at the minute?
I think we're all in complete agreement here in regards to Pogba. Is we have been critical of him. The only difference here is none of us will go as far as what other people. I'll get to that in a second because I've got a fair point on that. When it comes to Pogba, we're all in the same agreement where there's fiascos. But for me, what pissed me off, to say it loosely, wasn't the whole fiasco before the Leipzig game. Do you guys remember the press conference where he was in Japan a few years ago? There was There was one in Japan a few years ago. I wanted him gone after that press conference. That for me was like, nah, you can't get back in with my good books. Like, he was done.
There was another one as well. There was another one as well with his brother.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those ones.
There's been a few times that's come up, to be honest.
Like, for me, Japan was it. He was like, to put it nicely, he was dead to me. Like, I was like, no, I just cannot go with it anymore. But ever since that whole Riola fiasco, where he realistically just should have just kept his mouth shut, it seems to have kicked Pogba on a bit. Like, he came out, he addressed it for a change. He's like, no, this is nothing. Like, it's nothing at all. And he's kicked on. He was probably our best player leading up, bar the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Luke Shaw, obviously, who have been our standouts this year. Like, Pogba, he came into form. He's been effective. Goals galore. Marc was right about playing further forward. I quite like how he mixes it up. I quite like when he works backwards. I want him to stay, but I only want him to stay if he's going to be fully committed to the club. If not, I would rather have him move away to a club where he feels comfortable. In Serie A, like when he was playing in Serie A, he was playing further forward, but he was given the time. In Serie A, it's a slow league, so you're going to be given the time to get on the ball. You're going to have the time to do like 50 step overs, and no one's going to touch you. And that's where he was at his best. But with United, he's had to be more adaptable. Like, you can see how he's more effective on the ball. His hold-up play. None of our midfielder are as good as him on like holding up the ball. And his decision-making, his decisiveness is what we can't afford to lose. I don't know if there's many midfielders out there that you could replace him with. I think if you had to replace Pogba, you would have to look at a different type of player to say, okay, this is what we need. And frankly, there aren't many out there you can go, okay, who's got the talent to hold up a ball, be effective in acute moments, and still score goals? Not very many. So I would rather we keep him and then just build around. I agree, we need a solid defensive midfielder, and we do need a centre back. Get them, then perhaps Pogba could be just the final key in the nail, like the final key in the jigsaw for us. We'll see. With the final piece in the jigsaw, we'll see. I hope he doesn't go, but if he does, I think Mark's right. Trading's probably going to decide it.
Just to interject very quickly in response to Keane's message, he said you keep Paul Pogba at this football club if you want to succeed going forward. It's absolutely right. I was having a discussion with someone a while back now, and a player like Bruno Fernandes will create a foundation that everybody has to step up to. But a player like Paul Pogba gives you the ceiling. So you have that gap in between, and you strive. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? Bruno's obviously a world-class player. We know that. Yeah. But what he's done is he's come in and he's set that foundation. So everyone's like, right, I need to step up. I need to train and all this, that, and the other to be able to get to at least that level. But Pogba is a player that will take you that much further and increases that ceiling. Yeah.
And I think as well, the fact that they're playing 2 defensive midfielders as well, Bruno has to drop back and needs to cover a lot of ground. So at least if Pogba's playing, there'd be a lot more creativity going forward, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't mind playing 2 players in the defensive midfield position. I've been quite vocal on that before. Like, I don't mind. It's just how you set your team up tactically to do it. Like, you could have one holding midfield, and you can have a midfielder in there that's creative and they can just get the play forward, because I don't want Bruno Fernandes to run 60, 70 yards back just to pick up the ball and go forward when potentially he could lose the ball, be ineffective, and then we're going to, and then we're going to be at a loss have Pogba in there beside someone who is solid, can do the position, who's mobile. We don't have to worry about for the defence. We can cope. And you were right about wingers. We do need solid wingers because they're not the wingers we've got. They're not particularly good at it.
Yeah, and I think as well with their issue with strikers at the minute, obviously Martial and Cavani. Cavani's too injury prone for me, to be honest. I don't think I'd offer him another contract. If we could sign another striker as well. Obviously we need a lot of players at the minute. I know. I think definitely a centre back because Bailly cannot stay fit. Defensive midfielder, definitely need wingers, and we need a striker as well. So I think as long as Pogba stays in form and he actually wants to stay at United and play the way he has been playing, I think he's going to make a massive impact on this team, to be honest, because I think we definitely missed him while he was injured. Right, so we'll move on then. We're playing Leicester tomorrow in the FA Cup, and just want to talk about Leicester a little bit. Obviously, since they won the league a few years ago, they've kind of thereabouts kept up around the top four. How do you feel about Leicester at the minute? Do you think that they could possibly maybe overtake Arsenal in the top six? What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, they're a good team. They're a very well-run club. They've got a good infrastructure in place. They've got a good manager, and they've done very well to. It was a bit of a freak season, but they were the best team in the year in the season, and they deserve to win it fundamentally. And they've done very well to stay there or thereabouts. But as I said, it's because they're a well-run club. They have the right people. In order to recruit correctly. Their recruitment's brilliant. Half these players you don't know anything about, and they turn out to be gems. And again, that all boils down to the infrastructure. Yeah, I mean, they kind of silently go about their business, don't they? They're always sort of on our heels at the moment and picking up points. They're dropping points just like everybody else, and yeah. And they're there or thereabouts. So they're always a team to watch out for. And I think we can't really take it for granted. I think tomorrow it's going to be a difficult game. I think it's really going to be one in the midfield. We've obviously drawn against them. What was the other result? Did we beat them? We played them once, didn't we?
Yeah, didn't we not beat them? Was it 2-1 or something? 2-0,
Yeah.
2-1.
I know we drew 2-2, and I can't remember the other result now. I don't know if we played them twice in Premier League, but anyway, they're a difficult team, and as I say, I don't think Ollie will be taking it for granted, but I think it's going to be tough tomorrow, and I think if we can get through, as you mentioned earlier, we played Liverpool, West Ham, which was not an easy game. I think that we'll have to give ourselves a pat on the back, really, because they're no mugs.
Yeah, definitely. Reece, what are you making of Leicester at the minute?
I agree. I mean, I think there's several teams in this league that frankly you could watch and you could say, you know what, you could possibly enjoy watching them. For me, there's three. It's Leicester, Southampton, even just bar the 9-0 results, obviously. But Leicester, Southampton, and Aston Villa, for me, they're good teams that you just want to watch because they've just got something about them. And for me, Leicester, it's the graft. Like, I like the fact that, like Mark says, like they come about their business. So like they're such a well-run club, even from like obviously the tragic incident like not too long ago, like from their owner. They've maintained the same structure. It's the same family. They're smart with who they bring in, and they've maintained such a core group of players. They've got a good manager. He's got them running really well. They've coped well with injuries as well. They've been in the top four all season, despite the injuries they've had. That's something that deserves massive respect. Because you look at other clubs who've had the similar injuries, they would not be in the top four. So fair play to them. Could they make it as a regular top six club? I think if they keep recruiting well, yes. But it depends on who they bring in and if they lose key players, it's how they respond. But at the moment, I certainly think they could be top six regulars. I don't think they'll win the league again, but I wouldn't rule out them winning a trophy in the next couple of years, like maybe a couple of domestic cups. I wouldn't rule them out, to be honest. I think they could become a serious cup team.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think as well, going by this comment here, I think Barnes and Madison as well, when they come back into their team, they're going to make a massive impact again. I think
Hmm.
especially Harvey Barnes has had one of the best seasons. Like, he's playing unbelievable football just before he got injured. So I think from our point of view, I think we're kind of lucky that himself and Madison are out tomorrow. But I completely agree in a sense. I think Brendan Rodgers is doing a great job with Leicester at the minute. He's keeping them there and thereabouts. But I feel like they're kind of the underdogs. They're not really talked about as much as the top six. So, and
Yeah,
obviously Arsenal and Spurs have fallen down massively. Like, Spurs are in eighth and Arsenal are in 10th at the minute. I think with Josie at the minute, I don't know what to make of that situation. Obviously, I think Josie is kind of finished at Premier League level.
hmm,
I don't know what you're making of the Josie situation at the minute.
I think, yeah, I think it's a difficult one with Josie. I mean, we know that he's pragmatic. We know that he's been incredibly successful, but I think that he tries to instill things that just don't necessarily work anymore. And I think if you look at it, if you look at the situation with Arsenal and Spurs, and this isn't me being horrible at all, but they've got Jose Mourinho, okay, Spurs. They're not recruiting particularly well. Arsenal, obviously, I don't really know enough about Arteta. I hope he does a decent job. You know, I don't wish negativity on anybody. Um,
hmm.
you know, if they play us, then we obviously want to smash them. But they
Yeah,
don't
boy.
recruit well either. So you have to, at some stage, ask the question: if they keep recruiting that way, and don't have the right men in charge, the right owners, and you know whatever else, at some point they're gonna have to not be labelled as those big six anymore. And Leicester, as I said, Leicester, as I said, you know, they've got everything in the making there to be able to overtake them. And I think that, you know, if they did this for a few more seasons, then absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, 100%. What are you making of Josie at the minute, Reece?
Well, to be fair, we're at like Spurs fans are now having the same conversation we had 3 years ago, where he came into United when United had won when United had won the FA Cup. So he's in a good position. Then he took us to a couple of trophies, got a second, and in the third season, typical disaster, sacked halfway through. You've now got him at Spurs where they reached the Champions League final after not spending anything for what, 18 months? 18 months they didn't spend, I don't think they spent anything on any recruitment, and that is down to Pochettino's coaching and getting them through such a strong core unit. And now you've got the sense of he didn't bring in his assistant that he had for so many years. He doesn't have him anymore. He's got someone else who's considered a more attacking style of coach, and he's like, I'm going to be more like attack minded. But Jose Mourinho, he's reverted. He's reverted to his old ways of pragmatism, shielding up the defense and working from the back. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm the same with Mark. Like, I'll have a bit of banter, like with rival fans, but in terms of abuse, like frankly, what's the point? They'll see it themselves. That they can just abuse themselves. But Mourinho, I don't think he is. He likes an underdog team. Like I don't like his Porto side. Like Inter weren't particularly great at the end of the 2009 2010. They weren't particularly great, but he still made them something. But he's not the manager that he used to be. Like that Mourinho is gone. Like it's somebody else. But it depends. Spurs recruitment is really strange. I mean, the players they're bringing in don't make any sense at all. I think Doherty's been okay. I think the only one that's worked is Højbjerg. It makes sense. He's a Mourinho type player, but apart from that, nothing. So
I
as
would
far as I'm
say,
concerned, I hope they free fall.
Regulon. I think he's been pretty good.
Yeah, he's been good.
That's just a massive
He's
load.
been all right, actually. Yeah, he's been
I
all right.
think something happened at Real Madrid, and someone did Mourinho dirty, and I don't think he's ever recovered from that because he doesn't have any trust in any of his players, and I really think that's detrimented him hugely. Because if you think
I think
before that, I know that he obviously had the riches at Inter Milan, at Chelsea, and Porto. But something happened. I know that there was a lot going on behind the scenes at Real Madrid, and I think a lot of his players sort of had a backlash at him, and I don't think he's ever recovered from that. And I think that's had a huge detriment on him as a manager.
Yeah, I think
I think so. Yeah.
he has this big ego thing, and I just think he just clashes with a lot of players. Like we've seen he clashed with Pogba big time at United. So, my personal opinion, anyway, I think he's finished in the Premier League. I don't know what Spurs are going to do, to be honest. Maybe if they keep going the way they are, he could be gone by the end of the summer. But by the summer, we
I
won't.
think the
We
falling out
won't.
with Casillas impacted him. I think that falling out with
Yeah,
Casillas when Casillas broke his hand. After that, like Casillas, in my opinion, was still the best goalkeeper in the world at the time. He broke his hand and ended up playing Diego Lopez. They brought him back from Sevilla, and he played them till the end of his tenure. After that, Casillas had a great year under Ancelotti, then left. So it says it all, really, that if you lose the man in the dressing room, for me it was Casillas. Ramos, I don't think he had a good relationship with Ramos either at the end. Like it all faded, and it says it all. Like I agree. Like his ego is his biggest downfall.
yeah, I agree, and I think Pogba as well had quite a big ego as well. So obviously they did clash quite a bit. We'll move on. So we're going to do combined 11s. So Mark, do you want to go first?
Yeah, not really, because I'm just trying to find exactly where it is, but I will. So just bear with me a second.
Reece, if you have it ready, you can go first.
I've got mine done mentally, if that helps, because I haven't written it down, but I know mine mentally. So if I done mine, for me, classic 4-3-3 style. So I've got Schmeichel and goals, consistency over the season. I think if you had to narrow it down to goalkeepers, Henderson, he's not played a lot to consider being possibly the number one choice. De Gea's had a bit of a mixed season. Schmeichel for me has been consistent from start to from the whole way through. At right back, if he had not been injured, I would have had Ricardo Pereira. But based on current form, I'm sticking with Wan-Bissaka. I think he's come into such good form lately that you can't overshadow him. Left back, obvious, Luke Shaw, player of the year. Moving on. Centre backs, I've got Soyuncu and I've got Maguire. I know it's probably quite an interesting choice why I'm choosing Maguire over Lindelof, but I think Maguire's coming into his fold. He's certainly a lot better than last season. He's not particularly great. I will like that's one thing I will admit he's not particularly great, but he's not as bad as people claim he is. Like I think the one thing is like the price tag and the responsibility of being a captain has been a slight impact where he's got to adjust to a role that he's never done before. But he's shown what he's capable of. In Soyuncu, he's just been a fantastic replacement for Maguire at Leicester. He's done so well. You could have had Johnny Evans in there as well. Potentially Wesley Fofana, he's had a good season. But for me, Soyuncu is arguably their best centre back. Defensive midfield, 100% has to be Wilfred Ndidi. Probably the best defensive midfielder in the league. Yeah, well, if it was just one player 11 times over, it'd be Bruno. Chill. Defensive midfield makes sense. It has to be Wilfred Ndidi, probably the best defensive midfielder in the league. If based on not just current form but consistency, doing his job properly. Midfield was tough. Like Bruno was an obvious one, but you've also got the likes of. If we're doing it just based on current form, but also like counting players who are slightly injured, I would have either Tielemans or Maddison. But you've also got Pogba, who's came into form since Leipzig. I've decided to go for Tielemans. I think Tielemans had a fantastic season overall out of the three. So for my midfield, I'm going Ndidi, Bruno, and Tielemans. And then front three, through the middle, Jamie Vardy. Like hands down, out the two clubs, he is the best striker. Like there's no debate about it. Like, I don't think the man just keeps outperforming year on year, and he's well into his 30s, and he plays like he's in his 20s. He's such a good player. Right hand side, yes, no Pogba. I know. Don't cry. On the right hand side, quite a controversial one. I've gone for Ayoze Perez. I've gone for Perez on the right hand side. I think he's had a slightly better season than Greenwood. Obviously, I respect Greenwood for what he's done. He's not had the best of seasons this year. He's had a lot that's impacted him, which is a bit of a shame. But Perez, he's just got better and better, I think, for there. And then the left hand side, I've gone for Marcus Rashford. Yes, he's had games where he doesn't show effectiveness, but he still turns up with the odd goal and he gets the odd assist. It's hard to leave him out. Enemies are fun. Enemies are fun. But I'm basing it on consistency year on year. That's like for the season. Like I'm not going to choose favourites. Like for me, it's got to be like the logical choice, not just going straight for favourites. So that's why I've done Tielemans. But the right hand side, yes, I've been critical of Rashford this year a lot, probably too much. But his goals and his assist record this year is superb. So as far as I'm concerned, Rashford on the left hand side. So to quickly say, so my team, it's Schmeichel, Wan-Bissaka, Soyuncu, Maguire, Shaw, Ndidi, Bruno, Tielemans, Perez, Vardy, Rashford.
It's a good team, to be fair. Mark, do you want to shout out yours there?
Yeah, you know what? I'd like to put Henderson in. I really am fond of Henderson. However, we haven't seen enough of him yet. So I'm going to have to agree that Schmeichel, he's been their number one for many years. And he is very consistent. So I'm going to put Schmeichel in. I'm going to go for Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back. Absolutely love the man. His going forward is underrated, and I would have him in every week. Fofana at centre back. I think he'd be a good pairing for Maguire, who's my other centre back, and Shaw, obviously no brainer. I'd have Ndidi. Lots of talks about him. And the amount of people that want him as a defensive midfielder. I think he would be a very good fit. I think there are better ones, but I think he's brilliant. I am also having Tielemans. I think he's brilliant. Obviously, we missed out on him and got Bruno, so it worked out for us in the end. But I think he would have been a very good player for us too. Very good for them. Pogba. I think, sorry, Reece, can't agree with you. I can't miss him out. I think you can see how much of an impact he has on form.
No, totally.
It's a difficult one. Obviously, he played 4-3-3, so I can totally understand why he left him out, but I have to have him in for me. Bruno, obviously, goes without saying. And then top two, Rashford and Vardy. So I've gone for 4-4-2. Rashford, Vardy at top.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and I actually agree about the Fofana comment. I think Fofana would actually be an excellent centre-back at United. I know Jamie in the chat, Jamie Gretton, he's a massive Tielemans fan. I like Tielemans. I think he's such a good player. So I can see where you're coming from, but leaving Pogba out, I've just based on the consistency of the season. But if I did go for a four-man midfield, Pogba 100% would be in that team. There'd be no doubt about it.
That's exactly my one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
You must have copied me. I don't believe it.
Yeah, my own one then, I have also gone with Schmeichel. I think he's very underrated, to be honest. Schmeichel, I think he's a very good keeper. I've actually gone with Wan-Bissaka, Fofana, Maguire, Shaw. So I've actually gone 4-4-2. Ndidi, Tielemans, Pogba, Bruno, Vardy, and Rashford up front.
There's some sort of unison going here. I don't support.
I'm not sure that three people can get it wrong, Reece.
No, I was looking. I was like, hold on, something seems far too deja vu. No, to be fair, they're both spot on. To be honest.
I think from a pace point of view, I think Fofana has to get in there, and obviously United do lack that defensive midfield role, so indeed he has to go in there. I think Tielemans is playing really well at the minute, so he had to go in there. So I was looking at two aspects, and I was like, we're lacking wingers, but Harvey Barnes is also injured, so I had to go with a 4-4-2. And then obviously Pogba's playing great football at the minute. Bruno, inevitable. Vardy, obviously not scoring too many at the minute, but he can surprise you. And Rashford, I know he's kind of 50-50 at the moment with injury, but I don't think I'd put Greenwood up there just yet.
Yeah.
So we'll move on then to our predicted lineups for tomorrow's game.
I just want to ask something as well, right? Because I'm trying to figure out what Rory's team. Like he's got John McGinn and all that. I'm like, why? Like what? Like what's going on? I'm like, is he trying to dupe me by saying John McGinn now plays for Leicester? Like, what? And John Stones as well? What's going on?
Oh, that's mad. Um, so we'll go on to predicted lineup for tomorrow. Mark, do you want to shout out yours first? So what do you think Ollie will play?
You want me to do the 11?
Yeah.
So I think I really feel that David De Gea will play tomorrow. I think that there has been a switch there. Whether or not he is ready after the birth of his child, I don't know. But I think that he will play. I think you'll probably see Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Maguire and Lindelof probably, but I'd like to see Bailly tomorrow, just to give Lindelof a bit of a rest. And I think he'll play two midfield again in the double pivot. So I think Muxos and Fred, Bruno. Now, by all accounts, Martial, Cavani and Rashford are out. So I think it will be Ahmed, James and Greenwood. So that's my front three.
Yeah, obviously it's a bit difficult at the minute because our strikers are all injured. And yeah, Reece, do you want to shout out yours there?
I was sort of in the same mindset as Mark, but I've gone for I think Henderson might stay in goals, unless De Gea by any shout gets a start. But I'm sticking with Henderson in goal. He's been consistent at the back at the moment. I think he might change up the back four slightly. I think Brandon Williams might start right back. So I've gone Brandon Williams at right back, Telles left back. I think Luke Shaw needs a little bit of a rest. Keep Telles in, just to keep him up to fitness, and then you can use Shaw, like you can use Shaw later. He doesn't need to necessarily have to play. And then I would say Bailly and Maguire at centre back. I agree with Mark. I think obviously he's listed Lindelof at centre back. I agree. I think Lindelof does need a rest massively. He's been such an important player as of late that we need him rested. Midfield is probably going to be predictable as hell. So Fred and McTominay. I would rather have McTominay and Pogba beside each other. There's also a good shout for Van de Beek to play tomorrow as well. He is available. So you could potentially see Van de Beek play on the right-hand side, maybe Ahmad or James on the left, and then Greenwood up front. But I'm going to go with McTominay and Fred together, Bruno in the number 10 role, obvious, and then the same front three as Mark, Ahmad, James and Greenwood. The only changes I would make is Telles, Bailly and Williams in defence, to be honest.
Right, so I've actually gone a bit different. So I think De Gea is going to be back tomorrow. So De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw. I think he will play. He will start Pogba. With Matic, Bruno in front of him, and then Dan James, Diallo, and Greenwood up front.
I think it's our strongest midfield three. I think it's our strongest midfield three, contrary to what people may think. I think Matic and Pogba behind Bruno is our best midfield.
I was about to say our best win percentage over, I think this was back in January, our best win percentage with more than 10 games is Pogba and Matic in the double pivot and Bruno in front. 100% win rate.
Yeah, I think I did read that somewhere. I'm personally not a big fan of Matic. I personally think his legs are gone. But I think he has performed well enough alongside Pogba in the pivot. It's just a bit concerning with our forwards at the minute, obviously. So I think with Pogba in there, it is going to make a bit of a difference creativity wise. Obviously helps Bruno massively as well. We'll move on then to our predicted scoreline. My own point of view, I think it's going to be tight enough. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 win and a Bruno penalty for the winner. Mark, what do you think?
I will go with a 3-1 win. And I think Mason's going to get our first goal.
I think Mason will score as well.
And I am going to throw salt in the wounds, and I'm going to go 1-0 win to Man United after extra time. Harry Maguire to score from a corner.
I really hope it doesn't go to extra time.
I don't want it to go extra time, but I've just got that stupid feeling where it's going to be tight, narrow. It's going to be exactly what I said on my Twitch stream a couple of days ago. My exact words for the Milan game were, it's going to be a tight, hard-working, professional performance. And it pretty much was a tight, narrow, professional performance. So I'm thinking it's going to be the exact same thing. I think it's going to be 1-0, but I think it's going to last the distance. I really do.
Yeah, Keane thinks it'll be 1-0 win as well, and Pogba will get the winner. Rory thinks it'll be a 4-0 win.
I wonder if John Stones will be playing.
And John McGinn. To be fair, I can't remember the last time Schmeichel actually conceded 4 goals. I actually can't remember the last time he conceded 3.
Well, it's always there to happen. It's always there to happen.
To be honest, I think I can see us conceding. Obviously Vardy hasn't been goals mad at the minute, but he could pull one out of anywhere at the minute. So I do reckon we could quite possibly concede one, but I do think we will nick it. I'm just hoping
that Iheanacho's been a problem.
Yeah. I'm just hoping it does not go to extra time or even penalties, because penalties is worse, to be honest. I can't deal with penalties. And I'm on a live watch along tomorrow watching this game, so that won't be pretty either. So Anto thinks it'll be 1-1, it'll go to penalties. I really hope it doesn't.
Who wins the penalties?
Yeah,
I think the good thing is, I think if it goes to penalties, it's advantage United, considering who we've got in take penalties. And we've got, if he plays, you've got Tellez, who is consistent at Porto. You've got Bruno, he's only missed 1 or 2. He's a spot kick machine. Hopefully he doesn't do his stupid run up, but you've got Pogba. And then anybody else that just wants to hit one. Like, I mean, we could have a cheeky Panenka from Ahmad, who knows, like, but we've got, I think Leicester in terms of penalties, like Madison's out. So that's a set piece specialist gone. I think they've only recently got Vardy and Iheanacho. I think if it goes to penalties, it's advantage Man United, but I just hope it does not go.
I do agree with that, but I think because of that, the pressure will be on Man United more. I do agree that our penalty takers are better, but let's not forget last season before Bruno, they all missed them. And Martial, Martial's not playing. And you're absolutely right. I don't disagree with that, but I think because of that, there will be more on us tomorrow if we go to penalties.
Keane took the words right out of my mouth here. Let's let Bruno take all of them.
If only the FA would allow such a rule.
I know, that would actually be great.
Has anyone asked the question though? Can the same player take 5? Has anyone asked them? Is it actually a rule?
I think it physically has to be, like, every player has to at least have a shot. I don't know, but like they should allow one player to. I mean, I wouldn't mind Bruno versus Schmeichel and then Vardy versus whoever's in goal for United, and we'll just truly see who is better. Obviously, it's Bruno Fernandes, but
yeah. Andrew thinks it'll be a 2-0 win with the Bruno brace. I like that shout. I think no matter what prediction I do, I always predict Bruno to score. So hopefully he actually does.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time you didn't predict a Bruno goal.
Yeah, no, I always do. Always. I don't think there has actually been one where I haven't predicted. But right, so lads, we will leave it there. What I'll do is I'll go around there, and if you want to shout out your socials and where the viewers can find you. Mark?
Sure. At Marc Biggs, MarcBiggs, there it is, on Twitter. And you can catch me on All for United as well. We're going to be doing All for United Uncut tonight at 10 o'clock, so head on over if you got time.
Reece?
Lethal injection into some Twitter, so it's at United Venom 7, injecting some venom into some stupid twats on Twitter is the best way to put it. I should really make that my bio. And if you're into Twitch gaming, it's Reece _Lightning 1997 on Twitch. Catch me on there. I'll be streaming about 9 o'clock, and we're going to go until about 10:30, something like that. We'll find out. I've been streaming all day anyway, so.
I agree with you there. There's a few odd ones on Twitter at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah.
For myself, then you can find me on Twitter and it's U18, and you can also find me over on She Devils United, and I'm also on the weekly armchair doing 3 Devils and a Gooner. So We'll be back next week with Three Devils and a Gooner. So if you want to follow the Weekly Armchair on Twitter at the Weekly Armchair, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and stay tuned for any upcoming shows. And thanks a million to everyone in the comments for getting involved. See ya.